And welcome back to Why So Curious, where we dive into the most curious questions, thoughts, and theories. Today, we're uncovering the twists and turns of one of the most shocking political scandals in modern history, the Iran-Contra Affair. It's a tale of secret arms deals, hostage negotiations, and a government willing to bend the rules, leaving a legacy of controversy and questions that linger to this day. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with all of our favorite conspiracies, stories, and strange happenings from around the world. Let's get started. The Iran-Contra Affair unfolded during the 1980s, at the height of the Cold War. President Ronald Reagan's administration was determined to combat communism everywhere it appeared, and one of their biggest concerns was Central America. In Nicaragua, a socialist group called the Sandinistas had seized power, and Reagan feared their influence would spread throughout the region. To counter the Sandinistas, the US backed the Contras, a rebel group intent on overthrowing the government. But there was a catch. Congress passed the Boland Amendment, a series of laws that made it illegal for the US government to fund the Contras' military activities. For Reagan, this was a roadblock, not a stop sign. Around the same time, another crisis was brewing in the Middle East. American hostages were being held in Lebanon by Hezbollah, a militant group with ties to Iran. Despite its public stance against Iran, the Reagan administration saw an opportunity. Iran was in a brutal war with Iraq and needed weapons, so the administration devised a secret plan: sell arms to Iran, and in return, Iran would use its influence to help secure the release of the hostages. But the deal didn't end there. The money from these arms sales was secretly diverted to fund the Contras in Nicaragua, bypassing Congress and the Boland Amendment. It was a bold, covert operation that tied together two very different conflicts in ways the public would never have expected. At the heart of this scheme was Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, a member of the National Security Council. North coordinated the entire operation, managing the arms sales to Iran, funneling the money to the Contras, and covering up the paper trail. He even went so far as to shred documents and lie under oath to keep the operation secret. For a while, the plan seemed to work. Hostages were being released, the Contras were receiving support, and the administration had managed to keep it all under wraps. But in 1986, the operation came crashing down. A Lebanese newspaper broke the story about the arms for hostage deal, and soon after, the American press connected the dots to the Contras. Congress launched an investigation, and what they uncovered was staggering. Not only had the Reagan administration violated US law by funding the Contras, but they had also negotiated with Iran, a nation they publicly denounced as a state sponsor of terrorism. The hearings were broadcast live on television, captivating millions of viewers. Oliver North became a central figure in the scandal. In his dramatic testimony, he admitted to his role in the operation, but portrayed himself as a patriot who was simply following orders. His testimony sparked intense debate. Was he a hero protecting American interests, or was he the face of a corrupt administration willing to break the law? The fallout was massive. Several high-ranking officials were indicted, including North, who was convicted on charges including obstruction of justice and destruction of evidence. However, his convictions were later overturned on technicalities. In 1992, President George H.W. Bush issued pardons to 6 individuals involved in the scandal, effectively closing the chapter on legal consequences. The Iran-Contra Affair left the nation divided. For some, it represented a necessary but unfortunate bending of the rules to fight communism and save American lives. For others, it was a blatant abuse of power that undermined the Constitution and eroded public trust in government. The scandal also raised lasting questions. How much power should the executive branch have in shaping foreign policy? What are the limits of presidential authority? And when leaders bend or break the rules, who holds them accountable? But now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the Iran-Contra Affair? Was it an act of patriotism or a reckless abuse of power? And do you think the pardons issued by President Bush were justified? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're at it, tell us what topic we should cover next. Is there a historical mystery, a modern conspiracy, or a strange happening you'd like us to investigate? We'd love to hear your ideas. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions.